Should you use heavier weight with fewer reps in order to build muscle? And therefore, should you then use light weight with a ton of reps if you're trying to lose weight? This is actually one of the biggest myths in the fitness industry that actually isn't 100% false. So in this video, we're gonna dive into all of it. How many reps you should aim for based on your goals, how much weight you should be using, and I'm gonna do my best to explain it. By the way, if you're new here, my name is Jesse. I'm an online fitness coach and I've been in the industry coaching men for 13 years. So if you enjoy the video, consider subscribing to my channel because I make new ones every single week and I do live videos on my channel every Wednesday at 12 p.m. Eastern time. And by the way, I just moved houses. So that's why I'm in this kind of weird spot on my couch. Nigel's right next to me and I don't have my office set up yet. So thanks for bearing with me. So I'm gonna give you 4 things that are true. The first thing is that you can build muscle doing heavy weight for only 5 reps, but you can also build muscle doing light weight for 25 reps. Let that sink in. You can absolutely do both of those. And that's because when it comes to building muscle, it's actually not about how many reps you're doing in each set, but it's more about the level of difficulty you create in each set. So no matter how many reps you end up doing, you should be selecting a weight and doing an amount of reps that makes the set really, really challenging and leaves you about 1 to 3 reps away from absolute failure. So for example, if you're doing 25 reps in a set, it should still feel incredibly difficult. And if 25 reps is where you stop the set, realistically, complete failure should be at like 26 to 28 total reps. And even training in that way, you can still build plenty of muscle, just as you can with doing much heavier weight for very few reps. The second thing that is true is that you can successfully lose weight doing heavy weight for only 5 reps. Just like you can also lose weight doing very light weight for 25 reps. So same as before with the muscle building goal, you can absolutely do the same with weight loss as well. And this is a total misunderstanding in the fitness industry, but you can absolutely lose weight while lifting really heavy. Lifting heavy is not going to hurt your ability to lose weight even 1%. The third thing that is true is going off the back of that, which is that when it comes to weight loss, being in a calorie deficit is a requirement. And creating a calorie deficit, which is burning off more calories in a given day than you consume, that's done the majority through nutrition. So when it comes to the goal of losing weight, think of in your head that that's created almost entirely through your nutrition, and the training side of your program and the specific macros, the ratio of proteins to carbs to fats, what that helps you do when set up properly is to maintain muscle while you're losing fat. And if you, like me and pretty much everybody, have a priority of maintaining as much muscle as possible while you're in a fat loss phase, what you'll wanna make sure you do on the nutrition side is eat a fairly higher protein diet, but also you wanna make sure that you're not starving yourself. You don't wanna eat an unnecessarily low amount of calories per day if it's a priority of yours to maintain muscle. An example of this would be like if you're an adult man who's over the height of 5'5", eating 1,200 calories or 1,300, even 1,400 calories, that would be unnecessarily low and increase the risk that you would lose muscle. Now on the workout side, while you're in a fat loss phase and you want to maintain muscle, what you're gonna wanna do is train as if you're trying to gain muscle. So this goes back to what I said at the beginning. You're gonna wanna make sure that each and every set you do is challenging and that you're pushing yourself very close to failure. It doesn't have to be completely to failure. You don't have to have the weights fall on you, but it should be pretty close to failure, and that level of intensity will go a long way. The fourth thing that is true is that when it comes to gaining muscle mass, being in a calorie surplus is gonna give you the best chance to do that. Now these days, most people wanna lose weight. So most people are in the mindset of always trying to be in a deficit, always trying to restrict calories, and they think they have to always do that to get lean and to stay lean. But for the vast majority of people, if you want to gain muscle consistently, being in a surplus certainly will give you the better chance at doing that compared to being in a deficit or even at maintenance calories. Now, here's where gaining muscle differs from losing fat. I said that losing fat, you needed to be in a calorie deficit scientifically and physiologically to make that happen. You don't actually need to be in a surplus to gain muscle. Like I'm saying right now, it helps, but certain populations can actually gain some muscle at maintenance calories and even in a deficit, like newbies, people who are in their first 1 to 2 years of strength training and doing it on a proper program, or just beginning tracking their food. Those people, and I've had tons of clients do this because many of them are newbies, where they actually lose X amount of body fat while being able to gain some muscle mass. Like Victor did this, he lost over 30 pounds while gaining, I think it was 3 or 4 pounds of muscle in a 6-month period. My longtime client and friend Jason did this as well. He lost body fat while gaining muscle. And people who we call in the industry detrained individuals can do this as well. This is called body recomposition, when you lose fat and you gain muscle within the same time period. So a detrained individual is someone who may have had experience in the past with working out consistently or tracking their food, but for whatever reason, they went an extended period of time, away from the gym without working out. Maybe it's been a few months, maybe it's been a few years. So if they're just getting back into it, they can actually do this realistically as well. But for most people who are intermediates, they've been training properly for a few years, or certainly advanced lifters like myself who's been at it for 15 years, we are much more likely to be able to gain muscle while eating in a surplus. It doesn't have to be a massive surplus. The more recent research is showing that you don't have to eat in a surplus of 1,000 calories over maintenance. It can even just be a few hundred calories over. Now let's talk about a few other variables that factor into whether you should do heavy weight and low reps or lightweight and a ton of reps, because there's other factors at play. One variable to consider is that training form and technique matters. What a lot of people do is that they're ego lifting. They're seeing how much weight they can possibly lift to max out for just 1 rep, or in a low rep range like 3 to 5 reps, but often they're not maintaining proper form. And my experience working with a lot of people over the years, and just my gut instinct tells me that your risk of injury is much higher if you're ego lifting like this. Because with a lot more weight, there's often more at stake. For example, if you're doing lateral raises with like a lot of weight, like 40-pound dumbbells or 50-pound dumbbells, and you're not using proper form and technique, you could literally injure your elbows or your shoulders just from 1 set or even 1 rep. But if you're doing those same lateral raises with, say, 20-pound dumbbells, and you're doing 15 to 20 reps of it, even if you're not training with proper technique, you may be less likely to get injured. You could still get injured, absolutely, but you may be a little bit less likely to get injured, and that's mostly my gut instinct. But something to keep in mind in either situation, whether you're doing a ton of weight or very lightweight, and if you're ego lifting and not using proper technique and form, you're probably not going to be targeting the muscle groups that you're trying to work anyway, doing it properly. You may be recruiting other muscle groups to help move the weight. There's also something to be said for maintaining proper form and technique for how many reps you're doing. Like, are you more likely to be able to maintain proper form doing 5 or 6 or 7 or 8 reps? Or are you more likely to be able to maintain proper form doing 20 reps or 25 reps? Often, as long as you're not ego lifting and doing anything stupid, sometimes it's easier to maintain proper form for fewer reps. Another variable to consider when determining how many reps you're gonna do in your exercises is time. If most of the time you're doing 15 or 20 or more reps in your sets, obviously that's gonna be a much bigger time commitment at the gym compared to if you're doing 5 or 10 reps. And especially if you're doing exercises that require you to do your reps on both sides separately, like a single arm dumbbell row, or if you're alternating with your curls. A third variable that plays into how many reps you're doing is exercise selection. There are just simply some exercises that may end up being more ideal to be doing in a lower rep range, and others that are probably more ideal or convenient to be doing a higher rep range. For example, if you're trying to do sets of 20 reps for a barbell back squat, where you're maintaining proper technique for all 20 reps and you're bracing properly for all 20 reps, that just might be the last time you ever step foot in a gym, because that would be absolutely brutal. So you may find it more realistic with those really heavy compound lifts like squats, deadlifts, maybe some other similar exercises to work in a lower rep range. But doing 20 reps with lighter weight for an exercise like a leg extension machine, that might be a lot more realistic and doable. Another variable that people bring up when trying to make the argument that if they're trying to lose weight, they should do a lot more reps and lighter weight is saying that doesn't higher reps burn more calories? And the general answer is yes. Usually doing 20 reps is gonna burn more calories than doing 5 or 10 reps. But let's be clear, it's by a very minuscule amount. It's not by an amount that will make any difference whatsoever in your ability to lose more weight. And the truth is, if you're worried about how many calories you're burning in your strength training workouts or in exercise in general, you're focusing on the wrong things. Instead, focus on being really hyper aware and accurate with how many calories you're eating. And that will make weight loss as predictable as it possibly gets. Another variable that factors into the reps you're doing and how much weight you should use is simply personal preference, and also possibly the phase that you're in as well. So if you like lifting heavier and seeing how strong you can get, then include more heavy lifts in your program. And the opposite is true as well if you prefer lighter weight and you like doing a ton of reps. Now think of it like this though, if you're 5 or 6 months deep into a fat loss phase and you're leaner than you've been in a very long time and you've been in a calorie deficit for those 5 or 6 months, and maybe you're eating like 1,700 or 1,800 calories or something like that, that might not be the ideal time to be hitting a ton of sets with super heavy weight and for only 3 to 5 reps. Because for you at this point in the current phase you're in, your glycogen stores are depleted, you're certainly lower on energy, and you're probably not gonna be able to lift as heavy as if you were eating more, like 2,500 or more calories. So this situation is just a tough uphill battle to continue increasing weight. And to be clear, I'm not saying that you can't do this or that you shouldn't include any exercises for, heavier weight and fewer reps. It's just possibly not the most ideal setup for how you're currently feeling. And at that point, it might be easier to progressively overload by tacking on a few extra reps with lighter to moderate weight in your exercises. But let's use a different example for the opposite argument. Let's say you're someone who enjoys powerlifting and you're trying to continue increasing weights for certain lifts, but you're also trying to lose some weight. Now, to be fair, a lot of powerlifters aren't trying to lose weight, but let's say this is the situation you're in. This person would obviously be better suited to continue including heavier lifts for few reps while trying to eat in a low to moderate deficit. So to recap, doing heavier weight for fewer reps isn't actually better for building muscle than doing lighter weight with higher reps. And doing lightweight for higher reps isn't actually better for losing weight compared to doing heavy weight with low reps. The weight loss depends almost fully on nutrition. So ultimately you can train however you want to train in whatever rep range you want to work in, whether it's heavy or light. And you can still lose as much weight as you want to lose. And gaining muscle mass largely depends on the difficulty of your strength training, if you're able to progressively overload and create mechanical tension. So no matter if you're doing 5 reps per set or 20 or 30 reps per set, you can still build muscle as long as you're finishing those sets very close to failure. If you've made it this far in the video, I've got a free lean muscle cookbook. It's got 25 pages of high protein recipes that are both for cutting and for bulking. So you've got basically a lifetime's worth of meal ideas with ingredients, and I list out all the macros for you, and they taste amazing, and they're so easy to make, even I can make them. So I'll leave that in the first link down in the description below. And if you'd like me to coach you to lose more body fat, build more muscle, or just get in the best possible shape you can while making it a true lifestyle, feel free to apply for my Modern Man coaching program down below as well, and we can see if it's a good fit to work together. Thank you so much for watching. I'll catch you on the next video.